decision was made to move him to a larger pool at Windsor Safari Park. Well, moving a 1.5-ton whale is a big operation, but 8 hours after he was lifted out of the water at Clacton, Nemo came face to face with Winnie, Windsor's own 10-year-old whale.
That was the last we saw of Nemo back in June, and we wondered how he'd settled in since then. Well, now I can reveal where we've come with the Splash Outside Broadcast Unit. I'm at Windsor Safari Park SeaWorld, and we've been watching the first part of the show, and with me are children from local schools. So, what do you think of it? Right then, well, while we're waiting for part 2 to begin, I'm going to go and find out how Nemo's getting on in his new home. Well, Nemo obviously looks very happy here. How has Winnie reacted to having another whale in her pool?
Well, I think she likes it. Obviously another larger animal to play with. They have some fairly rumbunctious games. I mean, Winnie was quite happy with dolphins because they're just all animals together. But I say just something else, a similar size, obviously is nice for her as well.
How much does Nemo eat a day?
He eats about 100 pounds of fish each and every day.
That is an awful lot. Is he going to grow much more?
Oh yes, he'll certainly grow. Being a male killer whale, he could grow to be about 25 feet long and over 6 tons in weight.
How long is he now?
He's about 15 feet long.
Does that mean that one day Nemo's going to outgrow his pool here then at Windsor?
Oh yes, he'll outgrow this pool, but we will be building a new pool for the pair of them.
The training obviously involves a lot of hard work and dedication on your part. How do you get a whale to do a backward somersault, for example?
In the wild, it will jump out of the water doing a thing called breaching. So the actual jumping is fairly straightforward. All we do is target the animal, get its tail to follow a target, and prescribe a backward somersault, and the animal will follow. Something like that with a killer whale, in fact, may only take 3 or 4 days to train.
How old is Nemo now?
He's about 7 years old.
And do you know how long he's expected to live?
There's no way of knowing. Killer whales have not been in captivity that long. And if they're like dolphins, they will probably live longer, or may live longer in captivity than they do in the wild.
It has been said that Nemo's living on borrowed time. What do you feel about that, Dave?
Well, it's not true. Killer whales haven't been in captivity that long, and all the figures for how long they live in captivity don't include the old killer whales.
During the summer, there was a move by conservationists to get Nemo reprogrammed and release him into the wild. How do you think he would survive?
I don't think it's possible to release him back into the wild for a variety of reasons. You'd have to overcome his awareness of a lot more space, and one of the biggest problems was how would you make him frightened of people? He likes people, as you've seen, and you cannot release a killer whale that likes people back into the wild because it would come up to a fishing boat, it would come close to boats, get hurt by propellers, or even caught in fishing nets.
So what do you think of the benefits of having Nemo and Winnie at Windsor here?
Well, people basically enjoy it. Very large numbers come back again, and hopefully at the same time we can make them aware of these beautiful creatures and hopefully preserve them in the wild.
I hope so too. Dave, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now then, for the very first time on television, we're going to see Nemo and Winnie perform together. This routine has been put together especially for Splash by Dave and his fellow trainer Annabelle. So now, over to commentator Peter.
Hi folks, and welcome to Windsor Safari Park, and now we'll introduce you to Winnie and Nemo. Our 2 killer whales are also very, very passionate, as you can see. Well, they're going to come round and show you now what they'd like you to do a lot more of during this show, and that's give them a nice round of applause. Now, first of all, Nemo, who does tend to get people rather wet as well doing this. So get ready to start applauding. Here he comes. About 10 years old. She's been with us here since 1978. She weighs at the moment 1 3/4 tons and is 15.5 feet in length. And now comes the time for the biggest splash of the show. It happens over there and also around that corner. when 100 gallons of very cold salt water is going to be sprayed all over you. That's just the practice, by the way. And here they come with a natural behaviour known as breaching. Both are killer whales, Winnie and Nemo. You just didn't believe me, did you? Yes, you do get wet round there. Now, Nemo's still in the process of being trained. He's only been with us 2 months now. And we're going to ask him to hit that white ball once more. These animals are found throughout the oceans of the world, but hunt mainly in the Arctic and Antarctic, which is thought to be the reason for their black and white markings. This just breaks up their outline in the ice floes. And here he is, once more, Nemo! Now, everyone in the middle so far has got off pretty lightly, but not for long, because Winnie's going to hit that white ball this time with her tail, which involves a complete backward somersault and is very spectacular. Here she comes, Winnie! Well, that's got everyone pretty thoroughly wet, which is very appropriate, as the title of the show is named Splash. So, finally, all it remains for these two to do is to come round and wave goodbye. So, on a nice big round of applause for Nemo and his trainer, Dave. Followed by Winnie and Annabelle.
They're really lovely creatures, aren't they? And before I get absolutely drenched, I'm going to hand back to Michael in the studio.
Well, a few days ago, the government announced that Dr. Margaret Klinowska, who's an expert on whales from Cambridge University, she's going to be going into the whole question of whether or not whales should be used in captivity or not. And she'll be publishing her findings in January next year, so that should make interesting reading. But why not let us know what you think about it all?
That's a good idea, Michael.
Why not? I'm full of those, you know.
Right, you said it. That is it for the very first Splash. Next week...